after.
So if you put one on your property, it can be moved, you don't have to pay property taxes on it.
Well, you're not getting time, so.
Yeah, the town doesn't pay taxes on their own stuff, that's
Right, yeah.
They have insulating.
Not unless you're Midco Solid Waste and you're really nice to Rockport and you pay taxes even though you don't have to,
Yeah.
True.
which we could read.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, okay, all right, stop. Solid Waste, you're really nice to Rockport.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's gonna be my big downfall. It'll be in the papers soon. I'm sure Dan Dunkel's watching that.
Yeah.
I love Rockport. Just want to go on the record. We've been actually having some great meetings with Rockport. Got a great new agreement,
Good,
wastewater.
good.
Rockport needs the help with taxes anyway. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, what are you guys doing there?
Okay.
Reserving comment for later.
This is called team building. For town team building. Okay,
We good?
yeah, we are.
Okay, thank you all for coming out tonight. It looks like we do have a quorum here tonight. So we can continue with the regularly scheduled meeting, June 18th, 2025, 6:40 PM. Board of Directors meeting for Midco Solid Waste. First item on the agenda, review and approval of the April 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes as presented. I'll entertain a motion.
I move the minutes as presented.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Real quick, can we make sure that we can hear Robin? I guess we're gonna, he's
Okay.
gonna have to vote anyway, so.
Hi,
Robin?
can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yep.
can.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay, no discussion. We'll go to a roll call vote. Robin? What is your vote?
I'm actually going to abstain because I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm not sure that they're accurate minutes. So,
Okay,
That's the normal thing to do. Yeah, that is.
yay.
I'm abstaining, I wasn't there.
Okay, 2 abstains.
Yes, I was.
Allison?
Yes,
And I'm a yes as well. So we got 3 and 2, right? 4 and 2. 4.
well, we're not no's. Make sure we're
Yeah,
down
yeah.
at the exemption.
4 and 2.
I'll do that.
We got it. Okay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, public and director comments. And please, if there are any comments or anything brought to the board, please limit it to non-agenda items. Seeing no one from the public rushing to make any comments or any of that, we'll go to the directors. Is there anybody from the towns that has something to speak to other than what's on the agenda? We're all good?
Good.
Okay. Move on to the next. Robin, do you have anything to say?
No, thanks. I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. We'll move on to the manager's report. Dave?
Any questions? Lot happened, lot going on. Vinny's been doing a really good job triaging everything. I guess real quickly, we've got the compactor that, one of the commercial compactors, compactor one, I believe it failed. There's a picture in there. The hydraulic cylinder that basically compacts things is got a brace up against it, and that broke away and caused the compactor ram to bend and broke the compactor ram in the structure inside. So someone's coming in to refurbish that part on Monday. And then we had the bulldozer that broke, so we had to rent another bulldozer for a short period of time, and that one's the turbo bulldozer's been repaired. We've got the sewer line with the YMCA completely replaced. The section that, ran across the gut where it was deflected, and it was deflected.
I was wondering how.
Yeah, it was basically, it's ledge, and then you get to the gut. And then they continued the pipe across the gut and it just went like this. You know, so it was what we thought it was. So we wanted them to fix that before our goal was to fix the subsidence in that area. So that's all fixed. Tomorrow, we're gonna bring the they call it FDR. It's a recycling machine that comes in and it grinds that pavement into the sub base, makes a homogeneous 1 foot layer mixture. And then we're gonna probably take some millings that we have from road work that we've been doing. Build that dip that you see up, build it up so it kind of has a flat kind of transition to the other side. So that when they're backing the trucks up, trucks up to the containers perpendicular, they're not tipped like this, which was the hazard. So that'll all be fixed either tomorrow, which I'm hoping for, or Monday. Trying to do it on the day when we're closed. Nickel Solid Waste will be closed tomorrow for Juneteenth. Then I began work on the cost benefit analysis of 100-yard trailers versus new compactors. I met with the compactor person to look that whole area over, and the more you look at that area, the more problems you see. I don't think they've done any work to that for probably 50 years, maybe. I mean, it'd be safe to say for close to 50 years. And when they originally designed it, it was obvious that they designed it and then changed it. So the drainage underneath isn't even in the right places. All of the containers that we have, the closed containers that get hauled off that go to Norwich Rock currently are breaking apart on the bottom. They're all rusted out. They've got holes in them. They're getting to the point where they're gonna get harder and harder to repair. So I got some quotes for just replacing in kind what we have there, and then we would theoretically do the drainage work underneath, getting some estimates on that. And then I also talked with the contractor about like the areas where we dump into, the fact that they're open to the rain and everything. He had a good idea. I had worked with this guy at the shipyard, and he was thinking of building a doghouse over everything, so it keeps the litter from blowing around as much. I like that. I started talking to another contract, Jesse, the guy that's doing the hauling, about the 100-yard trailers. And you know, when you run the straight numbers, it looks like the 100-yard trailers are a savings, but then, you know, the more I'm looking into this, there's unaccounted for cost of that. Like the trailers aren't gonna last as long as the containers are. The trailers, $150,000 to $200,000 each. So. And then the other obstacle, which is, you know, I only started, the more you peel into this, the more you realize that the commercial people have to be able to dump into the container. And if you put a 100-yard trailer, you're gonna have to raise that almost 8 feet, that area where we dump off of. So that would have to come all the way up to that 8-foot mark. I was originally thinking only 4 feet, because the extra 4 feet of the trailer would act as the railing, so to speak. It's the safety railing to dump into. So you would dump over the 4 foot, you know, part of the trailer, but you can't do that with commercial haulage. You'd have to, so that would be a really, I think, I gotta get the numbers and see what they are. And the other thing, when I was talking with the DEP about it a little bit, is they would expect it to be covered. And then you would have to install a litter fence. And when you start adding all these things in, it starts becoming a huge project. But it doesn't mean you don't look at it. You know, you always look at it. You do the cost benefit analysis and what people want. You know, I think that the compactors would be neater. And I think there's a lot to be said about that, you know what I mean? Because you want the place to be tidy, you know, it's trash, you know, you don't want it to and stuff. So I'm in beginning phases of figuring that all out. There's a lot of moving parts to that, and I want to have it right before I present.
Dave, is that gonna be a conversation for the next meeting, or maybe, or do
Well-
we tie that into the next item on the, you know, the CV and Mahar thing? Is that gonna,
No, I think
does that have anything to do with that? I mean, cause we gotta look long-term.
I think what I want to do is I want to get I have solid numbers for replacing what I have. I want to get some solid numbers on the trailers and retrofitting that area with all the things I
Okay.
just talked about. And then I'll present it. I don't think we incorporated the capital cost to do this work in this budget. But we could start planning probably for the next budget to do that. Ideally, I mean, or we could do, depending on which direction we take, let's say we want to replace in kind, maybe we could buy the containers. And then move on to the compact
Yeah.
refurbishing, kind of phase it in. Like just to give you kind of a ballpark of what numbers we're talking about. So for 5 new containers, we're talking about $118,000, which is significantly less than 1 trailer. And 2 compactors, so the compactors that we use on the commercial side, number 1 and number 2, are single ram compactors. And that's why these are failing, because the commercial haulers come in, they dump a big, they dump a whole bunch all at once into the compactor. And it can have a lot of, it's not like a bag of trash, it's all this. It can be cardboard, it can have all kinds of things, even though it's not supposed to be in there, it ends up being in there. And then when they go to compact it, that single ram compactor just isn't robust enough to handle that over time, especially as old as they are. So the guy I was talking to was telling from Atlantic Leasing was saying that, a double ram compactor, which he has some that he could refurbish, is more suited for that application. And then we would take the ones we have, refurbish those and move them over to the commercial, to the homeowner tag side. So that's what I've got so far. And then we would, make it look a lot nicer around there, repave, regrade, fix the drainage, build some dog houses over everything. It will look like a new place. But we're looking, right now, it's looking significantly less. But then you gotta factor in the hauling and the difference in weight that you can haul on a trailer versus a compactor. So that's kind of the numbers that you gotta play around with and see where they're at and see how close they are and see which one's the best thing. But I'll get that together for you and package it up in a way where you guys can make a decision on what you feel is the best for the facility based on, what I find and go from there.
Clearly obvious, we've had a lot go on over there in the since our last meeting. I mean, you
Yeah.
can see his report, there's a lot that's been done over there. A lot of it we didn't plan on.
No, you couldn't
So-
go for those things.
As far as the bulldozer and things happening to that, is it time to look at replacement?
Well,
Is there a reason, is there something we could have done to prevent the turbo? And I don't
No,
think so.
no,
It's normal
I
wear
asked the
and tear.
question, yeah.
Yeah, well, I know you did, but I'm just trying to give everybody
Oh,
an
yeah.
idea of
I
what.
was curious about that, is it lack of maintenance?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
somebody did wrong, and the
Yeah.
answer is no.
Hold on, are we talking about the bulldozer?
The bulldozer turbo caught on fire and basically,
What's the bulldozer turbo?
the turbo, I'm not an expert on, but it adds air to the mixture. and
Gives it more power, makes it
and
more run more efficiently.
it's a spinning device, it's like a fan, and it can fail, and when it fails, it can cause it can cause heat, which can ignite the air intake box, and filter, which it did, started on fire.
Yeah.
We were lucky that we walked away with just what we did, and it wasn't anything anybody did. It was just, it just started on fire. Because the thing spinning failed.
There's a lot of centrifugal force there.
Yeah,
Is this the bulldozer that you
the
don't think
bulldozer.
we should have bought? No, that's the
No,
loader. that you
that's the
went
loader, so we're working on the loader replacement. We went to the highway conference, what was it, that last week, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, and they had all the equipment there, and they let everybody try it, and it was kind of
with.
neat.
The highway conference?
Yeah, that thing that I had told you about it.
Oh, the public works, is that what they call it?
They
Highway
they
conference?
call it the highway conference.
That's,
I know. Anyway, they had everything there, and the public works, the wastewater and the solid waste, it was all for all 3 of those types of trades, and they had a great time, and it was really good to send them there, because they really boosted their holiday morale, and they,
Camden, we didn't even say that in that
Oh.
Camden win.
right, so,
Sorry, that's not
I
relevant.
mean, this
but-
isn't relevant to this, but, so the public works went there. And they have all these rodeo competitions and stuff, along with displays and just a lot of equipment and things like that, and 2 of our operators participated in the backhoe excavator competition out of all the whole state. And we came in first and second of the 2 people that entered. And And they're going, and Ben, the guy that works at Public Works in Camden, is going to Chicago to represent the state of Maine. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, so it was kind of a cool thing.
I guess there is a connection, because Public Works is some work,
Oh.
sometimes for micro solid waste, so.
You look in the packet, you see that drainage work, and that's all stuff that the Public Works Department did, so.
That's good.
Yeah, it really boosted everyone's morale, they all had a good time. Anyway, we looked at the equipment. We're I talked with Tom, who's the guy we have using between Public Works and Midcoast, and I said, let's put together an RFP, put together what we want for a type of loader, and see what we get for takers and what the prices are on. That's where we're at on that. Some other equipment that we're gonna be looking at having to replace is probably the forklift. Very old. The bulldozer would probably come in after that, but I think the compactors come even before those two things, obviously. But we just got a big one out of the way, which is the well. And the well is working amazing. I mean, you look at the photo in there, I think I'm pumping like 110 gallons a minute, just to show you what it can.
That's
pump.
huge.
We could
That's
pump
awesome.
30. And good thing I did this, I was nervous about the amount of, the water levels coming up, and we couldn't keep up with it at 30 gallons a minute. And the pump wasn't in the right place in the well because it had bent, and the other pump was stuck it was just a mess. So we could only pump down so much. But when the water's coming in the springtime, we can't even keep up with it. So I think we would have exceeded our regulatory limit. The old boy, we went way over that. There's a 98 and then 106.
106 or 107, yeah.
Yeah, 106, it's going into Lily Pond. I think we might have been into 106 if we wouldn't have done what we did. So really had to push that contractor to get that pump in. Yellow did an amazing job getting everything connected with Vinny. And then we had the controls that we needed to put in place. So Express Electric had to come in and gave us a temporary variable drive because the Toshiba we ordered was on back order like everything else. And that got us up and running at 110 gallons a minute, and we were able to bring that water level down and keep up with it, because think about how much rain we've gotten since that all started. I mean, we would have been toast. It never stopped raining. So if we wouldn't have done that, we would have been in trouble. And
That's awesome.
And yesterday, was it yesterday, Beth? Yesterday, we just got the variable drive installed. They got it and put it in that very day they got it. So it was almost like a 2-month time frame, for almost 2.5 months, that we went with that loaner variable drive, and that saved us. If we wouldn't have done that, we probably had some problems. Then, of course, Vinny and Beth went on vacation to Aruba or Barbados or some wonderful place, and all these things are happening. And then the DEP decides we're gonna do it in a surprise inspection, which was another like twist in the whole game plan. So that took a whole, but we did well. They found some really small things. One of them was the ash container. Didn't have a cover on it, which we made immediately, and there's a couple of little things, but so listen to this. So she walks up to the ash, and she's really good, Vera. She'll, oh, what's in this thing? I go, well, stove ash. And she, that little bin by the trash, the little self-dumping dumpster. It's like a yard, if that. So she looks at, oh, this is gotta be covered. I said, well, yeah, I understand that, but what would you really be theoretically worried about on stove ash? Well, it could be demo. People burning demo, and they could have lead in it, but someone burning their house down is gonna put it in a bucket, put it in this little bin, right? And she's like, yeah, but that's what the rule says. I go, yeah, I know here, but this is for stove ash, so they don't put it in the trash.
Yeah.
And start that on fire. Well, that's the rule, so you gotta cover it. I said, I'm not arguing about covering it, I'm just trying to talk this through, the sensibility of it all. And then she's like, yeah, I get it. She goes, where do you put this? We'll put it in the landfill. Do you have a permit for that? I said, what? Yeah, you need a permit. I go, no, we didn't. I go, we put in hundreds of thousands of tons of ash in here for odor.
Hundreds of thousands of tons.
Thousands of tons. Oh, yeah. From fly ash from a place that's burning something not so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
in a different place.
No, no, all over the landfill back when they were, when they were having odor problems.
Yeah.
And they're worried about this one little bin of ash that's from
Those
your,
wood stoves.
from their wood stove. I said, really? And she's like, yeah. She says, I go, well, I don't know. I go, again, I'm gonna say the cost of that is far less than them people not giving them a place to put it and having them throw it on the side of the road or in the household trash or in the landfill.
Or
Then
in
it
the
was,
woods behind the
Right.
house.
I go, it's gonna start, it's gonna,
Paper bag before.
oh yeah, it's gonna start a fire, which I've seen many times.
Yeah,
So she's like,
Say it's inert material.
well, so she goes, so we agree to disagree. She goes back to the office and emails me. I found a loophole. I said, oh, okay, that's great. You can put 10 yards of stove ash in an unsecured landfill. You're exempt. I said,
You're like, yeah, I knew that.
perfect. I only put in 9. But, and you know, it's just not, it's just a silly thing. But the, you know, the thought process behind that's really crazy if you think about it. So what if I get to 9.5? And now I gotta shut everybody off. What do you tell them? Oh, can't take any more ash, gotta go someplace else. I mean,
it's gonna go in a yellow bag.
it's gonna go in the, yeah, but these are the kind of things that don't get thought out when they make some of these rules.
Yeah,
And it's really intended, it's ash from the burning of construction and demolition debris. It's not stove ash. Because most people aren't burning painted wood in their wood stove. So, you know,
You're so used to having an absolutely perfect inspection report from the DEP, you're fixated on, I love that you just told us this whole, it speaks well for you that you've had like one time when they're like, oh, you didn't do this right.
No,
And
I
it's like
haven't-
you have a whole,
I have
you're
another.
very transparent and.
I got wrote up for not having a sticker on our trash trailer. You're supposed to have a non-hazardous waste transporter's trash sticker, but municipalities are exempt. So I was like, he's like, where's your sticker? I said, well, we're exempt. Oh, you still gotta have a sticker on it. I said, really? Are you kidding me? No, you gotta have it on there. And then I thought that was the end of it. I got an NOV for not having a sticker on the truck
When was
in
this?
Rockland.
Oh, in Rockland, not even
Yeah, it
here.
was like almost 20 years ago, but you know, but those are the kind of things, you know, man. It's
Well,
kind
now
of,
you've cleared your name
Gotta-
after you
gotta
explained it all.
Yeah.
and she's really good to work with, you know, I'm just trying to challenge her a little bit on some of these things.
Didn't know who she was dealing with.
Well,
either.
it's like the common sense part of me says that, you know. If this isn't really that bad and the purpose of it is to prevent something else that could be worse, why would you?
But we want those people, they're not going after you, we want those people, actually, the
Oh, I
DEP has a
get it.
history of being way too lenient about a lot of things, so. It is good for them
Oh,
to
yeah.
go through the process of,
Sure, I learned something new, you can only put 10 of those in the landfill. I'll send the other 10 to Rockland.
do we really go through like a
No.
lot? What are we charging people for that?
I did.
Not really, it's more
No, we do not.
convenience because you don't want them putting it in the trash.
Yeah.
'Cause it starts a
We'd
fire.
have so many more problems if they would put them in the trash.
Oh my God,
We-
that's what they'll do.
We're better off to dispose of that,
Oh, yeah, I'm just,
really. And it helps us.
It just needs to be
So
cold
ash.
and rained on.
I don't have a wood stove, so I don't, this is you with your wood stove, right? You have a wood stove, probably, that's why it's. So you're getting rid of all your, you're getting rid of all this
that's how
crap.
we heat in winter.
Many people do, yeah.
Here's the thing about the leaf.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah,
That
and
was-
then, that wasn't anything bad, she just was like, wow, that leaf pile's gotten a lot bigger, I'm like, yeah. And, I says, she goes, I go, yeah, I really wanna kind of set up something over here, I go, I was thinking about doing it over in this spot, and I brought her over there, she's like, yeah, you can put it there, you don't need a permit, just for the leaves. So I completely built the whole area down there. With a berm and everything, and we got all the leaves down over there, and I did a compost area with leaves, Rockland. And if you turn it 4 times a year in like 2 years, you get some really good stuff.
So what's gonna happen with that when it's beautifully composted?
Just sell it to scrap dogs.
No, they don't want it, cause I can't prove it's organic.
Probably isn't organic.
No, it's not, but it's great for like plantings, you know,
Yeah.
people that do, it's not.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking how much it costs by the bag at Plants Unlimited.
So what I did in Rockland was I sold it for like $0.25 a bucket and like $10 a truckload. I did, it was like a revenue source. But it's not a lot of money, but it's, it helps with the operation.
Well, at those prices, I would pay my son's gasoline to drive up from Wyndham to get me a truckload of stuff.
You can borrow my train.
So,
So I didn't mean,
sorry,
as if somebody was going in with leaves.
You put them where they were.
But I've never done it, so I don't. really-
So you know where the brush pile is?
Yeah.
You know where the metal is? So the metal's here, and then you have the mattresses, sheetrock metal mattresses.
Okay, yeah.
And then the leaves are over here and the brush pile's over here. We call that the day area, that's what you call it, because you want people to put the leaves in that location where you can watch what they're doing. Because if they can go down on back and throw things away, guess what ends up in the leaf pile?
all sorts of stuff.
Everything. So you just continue doing that, and then we move them when we see fit from the day area to the composting area.
Do residents pay to drop off their leaves
Yeah,
and stuff?
yep,
Okay, so like on the scales or whatever.
yeah,
Mostly
It's
by,
like green ones,
most
right?
people bring them by the bag,
yeah,
but they can bring in a truckload of dark.
yeah.
I-
Well, for the longest time, what happened, it was getting lost in the brush pile. And they don't want it in the brush pile. It creates fines, and then they can't get rid of the brush and biomass before the plant usually. So you wanna keep those separate, and then when we started separating, now we got these leaves that. So it all
All the
worked,
bags are dumped, like, that's the thing, people bring them in their bags and they have.
right, we gotta empty them out, but it all worked out really well, because we got permission to put that out back, we fixed the area, they're out back, we just got rid of another issue.
That's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
people have been saying they wanna do that for a long
I
time,
know,
so
I was pretty happy about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So as we can see, there's been a lot going on, but we've got a lot done over there too. The manager's report indicates a lot that he's got
That was a lot
done.
of stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
So
Vinny's done, oh,
there is,
we
that's-
did put half, yeah, it's.
does anybody have any questions or concerns on the manager's report? Robin, you all set?
I have a quick question about the guy with the tree on his face.
Oh, yeah, that was,
I wanted to ask.
Yeah, let's, I mean, this
Okay.
is on
Um,
YouTube and,
Well, is she not connected?
no, she is.
Hi.
I think she just stopped talking because Crystal was talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you all set, Robin?
I'm all set. I had put it on mute so that I wouldn't bother you guys. And then when you asked me a question, I couldn't get my window to maximize on my
Okay.
phone so that I could come off. But
Crystal,
I'm
do
good.
you have something?
Well, yeah, I'm just curious about the guy who got the Freon on his face.
so there's a compressor tank, a little round tank that has the refrigerant in it, and it's got a little stem on it with a bolt. But like a plug. We hire this person through MRRA. And they come in, they vamp off all the things with refrigerant and they recover it.
To all transfer state, it's not like just unique to us, right? It's
No,
The same guys.
You know,
are-
same people, they go to all the different transfer stations, they charge us for each unit. Well, he was taking that plug off and the whole stem broke off the tank and sprayed him in the face. So,
It wasn't one of us, one of our guys. It was a vendor on some.
Yeah, I'm just curious how bad that is to be in your face.
pretty bad.
Oh,
And our crew did an amazing job. Vinny and Tom were like paramedics. They handled it really professionally. I think it probably would have been far worse if they wouldn't have been there and been as responsive and attentive as they are. And, it took a little while for the ambulance to show up too, so. And the guy ended up having to go to Mass General later on.
wow.
Yeah.
He's in rehab now, but he's still good, like rehab.
Right, it's still, it was serious.
It's very
It
serious.
just goes to show.
That's why they regulate that stuff so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
because it-
Is it because it's Freon or because it's cold or?
We didn't really get a report, but.
Yeah,
It's better.
I mean, you don't want refrigerator under pressure.
It's like a burn. It is.
Guess you wanna be careful when you're loading an old refrigerator into the.
Yeah,
trailer, or-
It's more that black thing that you see underneath,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, the round little tank thing. I mean, he had a wrench on that, he was trying to take that plug off and then the step. Well, I mean, one other thing is that we finally landed on this trash flow. Point of sale, billing, credit card, it does everything, and how we came about that was. I mean, we really were going in the direction of another brand called SMS Turbo, and the more we were talking to them, the more we were looking at it, they were just trying to add on cost for you need this many licenses, and you need, by the time we were done, it was starting to get really expensive, and I was kind of getting a little bit perturbed with the company, because I was like, are you kidding me? I gotta buy 3 licenses and I'm only using one, just if one person wants to look at it occasionally, and they weren't being flexible at all, so I said, you know, we ought to float this out to everybody at the transfer stations through the MRRA. So we did a mass email, Victor did, we got back a lot of responses. And the guy, Andrew, Bill Lewis, out of, Booth Bay, Booth Bay, reported, and I know him, he's really conservative, he does a good job. He went with this because of all the reasons I was concerned with the other company about, so we started looking into it. We said, yeah, this is the one we wanna go with, and we just pulled the trigger, and it seems like it's gonna be less too, because we don't need QuickBooks, we don't need all this other stuff, which was another thing we were gonna have
Yeah.
to buy, so this does it all. And ideally, the way I think it's gonna work is, you come in, if you have an account, you look for the person, you know, Kern's air conditioner service, click it, and he comes in with an air conditioner, and we charge him for the cost of that air conditioner, and then the invoice gets emailed right to him. That's how quick it works. It's, and then the credit card is gonna be like a real credit card machine. Where, you know, you don't have to wait a really long period of time. It's gonna
That's
help
good.
Beth with the billing. So, but we're gonna have to work through all the bugs.
Yeah.
And
April goes in on 30th. You also have to connect the scale to the new program, and that happens in the 30th.
so we're on our way with that. And then the only other thing I wanted to bring up is the Lily Pond. The Lily Pond Association Annual Meeting, June 21st, which is.
Oh, that's,
2 days away. So I know you went last time. Right?
know if anybody went last time.
It says that
Here we
we
go.
missed it last.
I think we missed it last time.
Oh, okay.
Mostly in the whole history, we mostly miss it. But 1 year I went.
We went the year before.
Yep, I would be happy to go.
Bill wants to go also, but
Oh.
maybe both of you can
Oh,
go.
yeah, that'd be fun. Cause you gotta be careful, cause once in a while they'll do a road assessment. We probably won't fight with them too much. Anyway, but it is an interesting thing for the future, maybe to talk about why we have that land. You know, we have 2 lots in the Lily Pond subdivision. Yes, and I actually had a talk with Roger Moody the other day, who was the town manager of Camden back when they acquired that, and you know, there are obviously things we would never do there. There are all kinds of restrictions about transfer station activities and that kind of thing. But he said that part of the reason they bought those years ago was for the possibility of maybe reselling them. And also they were having at the time a lot more problems with just sort of out of control stuff at the landfill fires, complaints from neighbors, you know, all kinds of things. And so historically, some of the complaints about odors, fires, all kinds of things that comes from the Lily Pond subdivision, is kind of nice back in there. So they kind of thought, all right, why don't we buy these 2 lots that are closest to us and sort of avoid problems. And so that would just be something for us to be aware of, but there's also a lot more land back there. A few weeks ago, we actually went on a walk with the YMCA, director of the YMCA, and Dave and Audra, actually the Hamilton town manager, and just to kind of get a better sense of what the land is back there. Years ago, they had talked about doing a trail through there. Midco solid waste was the big barrier. But a lot has changed since then, and we may have, it it would probably make sense to look at the land that we have and think about whether there's a greater public benefit that could be derived from it, whether that be selling a portion of, I'm not saying that I think we should, but just, you know, it's something that we're holding on to that has value. And-
It's really nice property behind the transfer station. It's like, you know, how you go in the woods and nice woods, it's really nice woods. You can see, it's got big trees. It's pretty cool. How many acres are the lots?
Well, so the, you know, the only two of them are part of this Lily Pond subdivision, and
Okay,
we've
I
got
got
those, those are in Camden. They're like they're like, I don't know, they're half an acre each or something. They're
So-
pretty small, but we've got a bunch of like 20 acres.
Lots like that in my mind, those are worth a couple $100,000 right there anyway.
In today's market.
Yeah.
Especially.
So it's got some value,
And there's also, you know, one of the things when
doing good.
the YMCA was built, they had said, well, the YMCA and Miko Solid Waste have frontage on Lily Pond, that's kind of the marshy part. But there was always talk about part of the reason of having these properties was that it could provide public access to Lily Pond. And, you know, years ago, a lot of it was like Midco Solid Waste saying, oh, we can't even deal with having the public back there at all. But it was fun walking back there with the director of the Y, because I was, wow, this is so nice. I can't believe we have this here. It doesn't, we no longer feel like, you know, the transfer station is something we'd all need to be embarrassed about, like, oh, we can't let anybody see it. And it felt really good walking with her, like, oh yeah, we've got a good board, we've got a good management team, so I
I
think,
think at the least, we should try to attend this meeting if we can.
Yeah, well, Bill says he's willing to.
Okay, that's great.
And Alice, and I don't think you need to tell him that you're going to,
No, no,
no,
only if you're not gonna go,
okay.
it's like, so.
Right, I think there is voting.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do have representatives vote for us.
and we get 2 votes.
Yeah, and
Okay,
then
that's
a
great.
couple different people will call sometimes.
It's kind of interesting
but we
every
have to-
so often. It'd be good for Bill, or I'll
Bill,
join him if I.
Bill
have the
read
energy,
it
but-
and he called me and he's like, I'd be more than willing to go.
Well,
That's so funny. Bill's like the other person like me, like the extra eager, to like.
If there's a situation where we need to vote and we're part of that, I feel we need to have the seat at the table. So it would be good if we can.
Yeah, maybe read over it. Can somebody send us the packet?
It's in the packet on the, at the end, yeah.
Be last year's minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do mention they.
It's the end of the
That's
manager.
fine. They want to, they have a
Well,
little,
it
you
was-
know, preventive maintenance fund for the road, and that's usually what we get caught up.
Oh, it's actually good.
Is there any more questions or concerns with the manager's report? If not, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
Could I ask one
Good.
question? I don't know when, it doesn't matter to me, but about the lily pond. It sounds like are the lots that we own sort of near where that trail would be around the backside? Remember when we went up to the top of the covered over landfill area and had talked about having, you know, like a public trail back there? Can you connect it all up and?
You actually don't even need, those are, I can send a map too, but those are not connecting to where the trail would be unless you wanted to have they're right
like a
on the
spur off
cul-de-sac.
to the lily pond or something?
Yeah.
Like me, you know, I'm just thinking in terms of parks and public
We
facilities.
wouldn't even
and
need
walking.
those to be, like you could have that whole public trail without ever even getting close to those lots, but they are.
But if the lots will take you over to Lily Pond and you can sort of link it up, then people could use that trail that's on the backside and then
Mhm.
get down to the pond and back. Might be kind of neat.
Yeah, we should
Definitely.
go for, it would be
definitely.
fun to go for a walk with anybody that's
If you guys
interested.
want me to schedule it, I can make it so that we go for a walk back there and you see what it's like. I
It's
mean,
pretty cool. There are like
I'm
old
always
quarries.
curious.
Maybe a topic for another agenda
Okay.
after we've, you know what I mean?
Or just sometimes just
Okay.
going for a walk and getting a sense of it before it's on
Yeah.
our agendas.
honestly, I could see people going to the transfer station, parking, and then going, you know, on a trail leading you into this thing.
Yeah,
You can go to the pond, you could go to, you know,
Yeah.
loop around the woods, cause there's all these like little quarry things that they've dug out. It's kind of neat. It is,
Yeah.
it's different. It's
Sounds
not-
cool.
There's this
Yeah.
elevated road that's, it's really
Sounds
cool.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it's not like,
I'll
you know,
go.
it's not like you gotta go through it's pretty easy to walk through because it's mature trees and, you know, forest.
So the next item on the agenda is something we've talked about over the years. And we've had information on this before, but I think we need to do this again. Glad you put this in here. Action item to direct manager to request CV and Mahar to provide a detailed closure cost breakdown and the anticipated projected future costs at the time of closure based on our current fill rate.
So that Bill brought this up and Bill has some pretty good experience like with this kind of stuff and he suspects, which when he brought it up, I kind of maybe agree with him. I do agree with him that, you know, there's been a lot of it handing off of project manager to next project manager for CV Mahar. And I think what they end up doing is they just take the numbers they have and they may put in like a multiplier of some sort to come up with the next year's cost for closure. I don't think anybody's done a detailed breakdown of total cost with, you know, how much material for cover, how much will it cost for trucking, all of the details, like the exact number. It needs to like be reviewed one more time, like with a little bit more emphasis on detail. Cause right now they just give us what the closure cost
We
is.
literally pay them to do this every year, which is what
Right, but
is a little
they
frustrating.
might have, I haven't asked them, they might have.
Or maybe we want somebody else to do it.
No,
Oh,
sure.
Yeah, well, but what we know now is that Rockland, very similar landfill ours, roughly the same size, just got closed. And Bill is gonna work with me on getting those costs, 'cause he knows Woodard and Kern pretty well, knows, they're the engineers that did that closure. And I can probably get those numbers too, but that'll give us like an exact cost per acre of closing. And then we wanna make sure the number that CV Mahar is giving us is that accurate, and then you have to estimate. You know, in 15 years when we close, what does that equate to? So I don't know, I think they're doing that, but Bill suspects it's not maybe as
Well, I
accurate.
feel that it's a huge advantage to have a member of this board have the experience that Bill has. I guess I didn't realize how much he actually did in there.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's
so
the thing.
I feel that if we take some direction from Bill, it's genuine. You know, and if he's looking at what we've got, and it's like, and he's like, I think this should be looked at again.
That's what he's saying.
Okay, so what do we need a vote here?
No, I
Or
think
do we, with a nod of the head?
you
can
just
we-
need to direct me to do it. I
I'm
mean.
confused though, because it sounds like Bill's thinking about working with Woodard and Kern, and this says to request CV and Mahar to do it. I just have a little bit of a problem paying the same company to do the.
No,
same thing over.
well, what I planned on doing was, I'm gonna call CV Mahar and say, look, the board wants the details of how you came up with the closure costs.
Hmm,
And if they can't give me that, I'm gonna say, we paid you to give us that, I want it.
Yeah. Okay,
That's what I planned on doing, that was my first step, and then when I get it, or if they say it's what it is, I'm gonna get the numbers from Woodard and Kern. And see if they are
Yeah.
the same, and if they're not, then we got a problem.
We
okay.
don't need any of our approval to, I
I think-
actually think this is gonna cost.
That's not gonna cost us anything, cause we already paid for it.
We've
They-
already,
they-
yeah, we've already paid for it.
They should be, for
And,
the,
and to ask them to,
for the closure
how
cost,
did you get to this?
exactly,
They've got to tell you.
Bill wants to see those numbers.
Sure, are
Yeah,
they?
and that's where our
are they using
advantage
different
is.
units? I'm,
No one's, I think Bill just wanted it on the agenda to talk about.
Yeah,
I think he
yeah.
planned on being here, but something came up. So,
Well, I have too
Like,
many.
we were at 5 to 7 forever, like over and over and over, and then I think Steve Patch of Steve Mahar did. Do a
Yeah.
fairly in-depth one, and then it changed to be more like a 10 to.
what are you talking about?
and then they have multiple closure
Closure.
plans
The
with.
cost?
One fairly
You talking
in-depth.
cost or use?
I think at that time it was also costs, because we did that study and.
But,
So I agree that,
I
yeah,
think it has definitely been a long time.
so land,
and they've looked at, what they have done is looked at the water, most of this is driven by the, the long-term costs are driven by the pumping.
that's,
And that is, well, it's post-closure.
yeah,
And so that one is a moving target a little bit with how much we're gonna have to pump, and they've estimated how much is rainwater versus how much is. So that, but I think what Bill is looking at is,
Closure.
right, just that,
And then to know whether or not we need to start putting more aside for.
Yeah.
Post closure.
right, because I remember P and I were talking about this in the finance, when we were doing the budget, and I said, oh, we're in fantastic shape, we've got all the money in the world for the closure part, and he was questioning that, and I mean, if, I agree, if he's questioning it, then let's look at it harder, definitely.
So a 5 acre landfill, quarry landfill for the longest time has been $3 million, roughly, what I've been told. And now with all this happening, all the things going on, I mean, additional costs, you would think that needed to change a little bit, and I don't think it's changed much.
Yeah.
So we just wanna know where their numbers are coming from. Are they current? And if not, we will want current numbers, as the board's concerned with it's all couching.
So with a nod of the head, are we all of the same opinion to have the manager engage? And bring that forward?
Yes,
those
my head
questions.
is nodding.
Your head's nodding?
Yeah,
That's good. Thank you, Robin. Okay, so you got the green light. If there's no other questions or comments on that, we'll go to the next. Just a little blurb that I had Dave add to the schedule here. I just wanted to just remind everybody about, when we interact via email, please don't, it's just like your towns, please don't reply all, just reply to sender. And then if you need to get a message to somebody else, that person, you can do that. We don't want to get caught up with the freedom of information access, God forbid, or anything like that. And also, I looked at each town, each participant.
is anybody there? Ah.
Go back on,
There you go.
Back on now.
okay, that was odd.
Okay, I'll just go back to, I looked at each town's, website and I'm not seeing. On your municipal calendars, I'm not seeing, not every town has Midco Solid Waste upcoming meetings on the, municipal calendar. If you could ask whoever's managing your calendars to just add that. I know you're all over your municipal calendars because of your responsibilities for your towns. So it would just be a reminder. If we can do that.
Request it from them
Okay,
every time we send out.
yeah,
So they get the agenda.
okay.
To post it. and
It's
they
just
post it.
advantageous to us as members. We're seeing it. It's like, oh yeah, I got a meeting next week, you know, I know
We move on a lot and we don't technically have.
yeah. And I did check to make sure all of the town administrators / town managers are on the distribution list, so they are. So if you can just help out that way, that just gives us all an extra avenue of reminder, that's all. And that's all I had on that. Does anybody have any questions on that? Robin, are you good?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Questions, concerns? Okay, the next item on the agenda, review board, financial reports. We've all had a chance to look at those. We continue to look pretty good. The only thing that I was gonna mention was what I see on the accounts receivable is we have a fair amount of people that are in the 60 to 90 day category, and we're not used to that.
I made calls and.
Yeah, I'm sure you did, but I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that.
Some of the ones that are more outdated, more
Yeah.
out, I have actually spoke with in the last. week
Okay,
or so.
I know you're all over that, Beth, but what's that?
I'm still waiting for some of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has anybody else got any questions or concerns or comments on this?
I think we're doing pretty good financially.
It looks it.
I was wondering if there were a couple of accounts that just are. Never.
You know, typically every year there's a handful that roll. 60 to 90, 60 to 90, but it's more than a handful.
Yeah, and we
So-
want this all in so that it gets into this financial year too.
Yeah,
We're low on landfill revenue. Fine,
Yeah,
but then there's,
one thing Beth brought up, which I thought was a good observation, was we're a little down in municipal solid waste volume. And it brings up the whole, I wrote down here, flow control. So, we have a flow control ordinance, it's pretty old, but. I kinda think that. Like, for a flow control ordinance to actually have some teeth. It needs to be in each town and part of the town's ordinance too. Because, does
but we
everybody,
don't have flow control.
we do.
No,
What is a
we're-
flow control?
well,
We're
that's what I
not,
was-
we're not a solid waste district.
So a flow control ordinance. Like an easy way to put it is, like, when municipalities make financial investments in infrastructure. To handle like something for the general public. And they go and put in all kinds of money into compactors and a facility and all these things. And then they develop a budget and they charge for it to recover the cost, whether it's taxation or fees. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes in and undercuts them to take that revenue source theoretically away. And bring it somewhere else because it's cheaper. They're undercutting the municipality and put the municipality in kind of harm's way because financially. Their investment now is harder to pay back because they're not seeing the revenue come back in that they anticipated on getting. Based on historic levels of waste, it's kind of the situation. So municipalities and districts have set up these flow control ordinances. To protect municipality and their investments so that this doesn't happen. So that's the general definition of what it is.
It gives the municipality a monopoly on the.
The practical way is saying is
The investments in what? Like the.
like the infrastructure. So you go and put money in the infrastructure. We spent $100,000 to build a compact.
Are you
We
talking
do.
about the infrastructure at Midcoast
Yeah.
Solid Waste as opposed to
Yeah,
infrastructure like roads and culverts
the
and?
Midcoast solid waste infrastructure. The
Okay.
cost of running the operation is supported by fees and taxes. So if part of the cost of paying the people and running the operation is, if the revenue is taken away, now you're upside down in your operation.
So what you're saying is that you want an ordinance, because I mean, flow control sounds like water to me.
I'm gonna say it,
You gotta start.
I'm gonna say it in layman's terms now.
Thank
I
you.
want to give you the definition.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna give you the layman's terms way of saying it. So the flow control ordinances, Riverside Waste Disposal can't come into the town of, Rockport, Camden, Hope and Lincolnville and take waste to another location. You need to take it to our facility and pay our fees.
So for example, if there's a company working in Hope that's based in Union, but they've got waste that.
They're taking away money from our operation. Yeah.
Or
They
sometimes it's
can't
not
take
because
it
It's,
back to where they're from?
it's happening in all the towns.
So what,
With license, you gotta be careful about scaring people too much.
I'm not trying to scare them, I'm just
Or you
trying to
make
give
them
you.
I'm just
License.
wondering how that's legal.
It's been challenged in court, but they always find that flow control ordinance for municipalities stands up to the test.
So basically what you want is you want any waste that's generated in the towns to come only to Midcoast Solid Waste.
That's what a flow control.
Or-
is.
Or you at least keep track of it. So if, for instance, like what in Camden, we're starting to see, like Casella trash cans out, even for recycling too, like a curbside collection service like you would see in a big city. And so, and they're going and people are wanting to sign up for single stream or something, or, and we don't really have a system in place where everybody puts out trash cans on the sidewalk and like we tell people to do it on certain days. So it can start to cause problems, but it would, one of the things they do is just say, okay, if you're gonna be picking up trash in this town and doing that as a service, you need a license fee, or you need, so that you're at least paying something for the cost of, you know, the people that are like, well, can I put my trash can out on Saturdays too? And they're asking questions, and the town is having to tell people to move their trash cans and things like that. Or they're taking some recycling, for instance. That is one thing that really hurts us, when they, like Casella is coming in and only picking up cardboard.
So,
And people then bring all the low quality recycling to us because Casella won't pick that up.
so flow control, when I went through this the first time with the attorneys, flow control doesn't stand up in court on recycling, because recycling is a commodity that has,
Well, this is the meeting right now, but,
I don't think there's any, this is just law.
okay.
So recycling is a commodity and has a value. And because of interstate commerce, you can't interfere with that. But for waste, you can, because it's not a commodity. It doesn't have value.
Inherent value.
Right. So in court, flow control stands up when you make people bring trash to the designated location that's generated.
I mean,
in town.
it makes sense that you want it to come to the facility that's designed to give them a place to take their trash.
Right, because you put the money into it.
But,
Yeah.
It's like an
Yeah.
economies of scale thing. If we,
but I can see independent Mainers getting their dander up at being told that if they live 5 minutes from the facility in Union and they're
Mhm.
paying to take it there. that
It's
they're
not so
being-
much the
yeah,
individual
told that they
home,
have
it's
to.
commercial entities.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's like a commercial trash hauler, Riverside Recycling, Casella Waste.
okay.
These
so
are big
applies
companies, and they can
to commercial.
undercut our municipal operation because of their orders of magnitude. So
No.
what they do is they'll go and take the waste stream, they'll artificially set a real low number. They'll make it really hard for the operation to function and stay solvent. And then once the operation dissolves because everybody says it's not financially feasible anymore, then they'll raise the prices on on you, and then they're the monopoly. That's kind of the transition, what you see in a lot of places. So, you know, the first thing you generally do is you meet with the people that you suspect of doing this, so we know who they are. And you say, look, you know, what would it take for you to come to our facility? And then they'll say, well, we don't want to pay your tipping rate. And then that's when you start having a problem, because
they're
we
also
set,
putting all the local haulers too. So you have people that are like Wayne Heel, Jed Patton, all these people that, then you have, and they're paying to pick up everybody's stuff and then bring it to the facility. And we work with them and they know, you know, what they're supposed to do. Then you have another company that comes in that, can offer these, oh, well, we are gonna do single stream recycling and we're gonna give you all these free containers. You know, Casella and these massive companies have the money to be able to say, we're gonna give you all these, you know, free dumpsters or containers or different things like that, and they can compete on a level that the local haulers can't too, because they're paying the tipping fee that we've set. And so it's also a way to, when you start losing like the Knox Mill or big entities that used to hire a local hauler, and then all of a sudden they go to one of these big conglomerates, then, you know, the local haulers then also don't have the funds to invest in new dumpsters or things like that. So it's not just about,
well, it helps support the waste haulers within the jurisdiction of the location of the flow control. But the original intent is to protect the municipality's investment so that they can pay for it and keep it going. And so if like a bigger company comes in and puts out the small haulers out of business and then takes the waste somewhere else, our municipal solid waste revenue line, which is a big part of our revenue, goes down. All of a sudden now we got to raise our fees. Now we become even harder to compete with.
but we don't need less people. It's not like if we lose a
it
bunch of
just keeps on
revenue, we
doing
don't need,
this. And then next thing you know, you can't support it.
Big box.
we still need the same number of people working at the transfer station.
We have to take MSW, right, from our four towns.
Well,
That's the other
That's
thing.
the other part. We're legally required by state law
Yeah.
to provide waste disposal services, so that for our residents, so that if we're putting, that's another part of flow
Right.
control. If we're required to do that, and then we make an investment And now we develop our costs, which are, $110 or $100 a ton. And then Casella, who owns a landfill or has a lower tipping rate because of their volume, comes in and says, well, I can take it, drive all the way to Camden and Rockport and pick it up and get rid of it for $50 a ton, and then I don't charge the person as much. You start losing that revenue to them. And next thing you know, you gotta charge more for your municipal solid waste to cover your costs. And then it just keeps on going up, and then it becomes unsustainable. People don't wanna even go there because it's just too much money. So flow control is supposed to keep things level, keep that undercutting going on.
So we can plan too, because we need to be able to plan for around the amount of revenue we're gonna.
Well, this is good, a good conversation. And
It's happening.
it needs to continue,
Yeah.
okay?
Mhm.
Where it wasn't on the
Right.
agenda, we'll probably just squelch that right now. But
Maybe
is
you could
there
send us some
anything
notifications.
else anybody's got before we entertain a final motion? Robin?
I guess I just still have a question on the non-agenda item we were just talking about, but,
On the what?
well, what we were just talking about with the flow
Yeah,
control.
we're gonna squelch that for now. We'll get back to it at a future agenda.
Maybe you could find like an article or something. We could send out a little bit of background information.
Yeah,
A little bit more information.
And maybe I'll ask Bill to give me something too.
Yeah.
Bill
Kelly.
I think we need to start with more just like the general stuff, not like the extreme
this is
legal.
what flow control is.
Yeah, this is why other communities do it. These are communities
Yeah.
that do it. It's very common,
That's what you said. It's
but you're,
Yeah,
requiring them to come to your
Yeah.
facility if you make the investment in.
But we'll bring that to another agenda.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh,
I
no,
would
I don't have
if there's
anything else.
nothing else, I would entertain a final motion.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Robin, what's your
Nope,
vote?
no discussion. I'm good.
Yes?
Yes, I moved to,
Okay.
yes, I agree. I vote
All
yes.
those in favor? Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So every time people talk about